I don't really have any expectations for VCARB, to be honest with you. They're going to get points some weekends, and then some weekends they might both put it into the wall. VCARB is kind of all over the place. There's obvious reasons why Red Bull did not choose Yuki Tsunoda, though we are Yuki Tsunoda advocates here on the Left podcast.
Yeah.
We don't know what we're going to get from Yuki Tsunoda now that he's the lead guy with Isack Hadjar in the seat next to him. So I have no expectations for VCARB. Wouldn't say they're high. I would definitely say I have higher expectations for Williams versus VCARB personally, but we'll see what happens. This team is young. I would like to say they're inexperienced, but Yuki Tsunoda's kind of wore that title out. He's definitely an experienced driver at this point. We'll see what they can do.
Yeah, I mean, expectations-wise, I actually see them taking a bit of a leap forward, not just because the livery is cool, but I don't see...
Well, it definitely helps.
Well, I don't see them taking... I feel like overall I've said Williams now, VCARB, are both going to take steps forward, but I just don't see them... I can see P8 one more time as like their floor. I don't see them going any lower than they currently are. This is a solid team. Obviously, it's the development team for Red Bull proper, but Yuki Tsunoda this year... I think he actually has a lot to prove. Now, you could argue he's had a lot to prove every single season. Everybody's got something to prove. But for him, I think a lot of people have looked at his situation and gone, well, he got passed over again when it came to the Red Bull opportunity. So what is there really left for him? There's still a lot left for Yuki Tsunoda in my eyes, because he's got to prove himself to continue to be a member of this grid moving forward. Aston Martin are picking up the Honda engine moving forward in 2026. Red Bull are moving on to Ford. His contract ends at the end of this season. So for him to still have a place on this grid, trying to prove himself as somebody who maybe even this year, should the Liam Lawson experiment really not go the way that Red Bull are hoping, this might not be Yuki Tsunoda's last stop. And personally speaking, I think he has a lot to prove, not just to Red Bull, potentially to Aston Martin. Obviously, you've got the stake there when it comes to the Stroll family, Lawrence Stroll and his son Lance, who is driving for that team. I don't think that they're necessarily move off of Lance unless they feel like they have the perfect situation, right? The perfect storm kind of has to happen there. But before we even get there, Yuki Tsunoda could very well be making that jump from team to team next year, whether it's a reserve role or otherwise. I just see Yuki Tsunoda as too good of a driver to be left off of someone's team. I know that Red Bull have the feeling they have with him when it comes to the Honda partnership. He's a Honda driver, but maybe that's worked for and against him in his career, especially when it comes to the eyes of Christian Horner and company. That seems to be a big part of why they won't promote him. But I think he has a lot to prove. When it comes to Isack Hadjar, he's coming into a very tough, cutthroat Red Bull upper crust here. He's got a lot to prove. F2's runner-up last year behind Gabriel Bortoleto, an unlucky end to that season. He had the opportunity to go fight for that title and then stalling out in Abu Dhabi, kind of out of his control at that point. This is a pretty regular occurrence on the F2 grid if you don't watch a lot of F2. Cars stall out constantly. And you got a little bit unlucky. And I think overall his sentiment this year is just going to be close to Yuki. If you're close to Yuki and you're consistent, you're not crashing the car, you're not giving them reasons to cut you, you're going to stick around in this sport for a while. This might very well be your home for the next couple of seasons, but look at it as an opportunity. If Liam Lawson's experiment doesn't work out, let's say towards the end of this season going into next year,
that Red Bull seat is to be reevaluated.
Yeah, 100%. So anybody who's sitting in that VCARB right now, it's the class right before graduation. That's basically it. You're on the F1 grid. That's a huge career accomplishment, but this is not the end of the story. It's going to be very aggressive. I see a lot of tension coming out of this part of the paddock, but
I could see them getting into a lot of fights. Yuki and Isack. Yeah, I could see this
between themselves.
Very feisty duo,
Yeah, very feisty. And you're either going to love him, Isack Hadjar, or maybe you're not going to love him. Maybe you might hate him. But Isack Hadjar is quick. He deserves to be on this grid. But they are my betting favorite to become the first swearing penalty of the season. So just keep that in mind.
Oh, okay.
They're my betting favorite. 100%. 100% my betting.